Symbolic notation. One of the goals of this unit is to be able to evaluate logical arguments objectively, and we'll do that by writing statements using variables and symbols. We'll use symbols to represent the different connectives and variables to represent the simple statements. The symbols for the connectives are shown in the table below. So and, but looks like this. That's a conjunction. Or the disjunction looks like this. A conditional, if, then, symbol looks like this. Biconditional, if and only if. And the not, even the negation, even though it's technically not a connective, that is a symbol that we use for that. Typically, simple statements are denoted with lowercase letters like P, Q, R. We can use really any letter we want. If we use P to represent the simple statement Holger is a dog, and we use Q to represent the simple statement Spike is a cat, then P and Q represents the statement Holger is a dog and Spike is a cat. The statement if Holger is a dog then Spike is not a cat would be written as you see right here. So for the examples, I'm going to let P represent the statement I studied for the exam, and Q represent the statement I passed the exam, and we're going to write each statement below in the words. So we started with Q, and it looks like it's biconditional. So it looks like we would say, let me see, Q was, I passed the exam, I passed the exam, if and only if. Oh, goodness. If and only if I study for the exam. All right, so on B we have the negation of P and Q. So we'll say, I don't study for the exam. And I passed the exam. All right. So on C, we have I study for the exam. And there's a disjunction, so we'll say or. I don't pass the exam. Okay. And then we have on D a conditional statement, an if-then statement. So we're going to say if I don't study for the exam, then I don't pass the exam. All right, now let's take some statements and let's change them into symbols. So we're going to let P represent Tim is an engineer and Q represent the statement Tim has a computer. So first we have Tim isn't an engineer, so that's a negation of P. And then we have Tim is an engineer and he doesn't have a computer. So we have a conjunction of P and the negation of Q. If Tim is an engineer, then he has a computer. So this looks like a if-then statement. If Tim's an engineer, then he has a computer. So if P, then Q. Then we have Tim isn't an engineer if and only if he doesn't have a computer. So that's biconditional. Tim isn't an engineer if and only if he doesn't have a computer. And then lastly, Tim has a computer, so we have to be careful, that's Q. Or, so that's going to be a disjunction, he's an engineer, so we'll put P.